From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stounger.
Hello, everybody. This is John.
How y'all are? Cajun Rob here hanging out with you.
I want to thank Rob for holding on the fort last night. The one I want to make every podcast, but I don't, like I've said millions of times on this show, I have probably 150 to 200 crankbaits, and if I throw 20 casts a year on a crankbait, that's a lot. And so I really wanted to get on and listen to Jeremy talk, but have no fear, the replay here.
Yeah, he had some good points, and I learned some stuff. So he had a good show, and has a good question from the audience that said Crush It Jail, come on, and had some great questions and comments, and other folks did too, Andrew and some other folks. But it was a good show, and we had a lot of fun and learned a lot. So when that happens, win-win right there. And I've known Jeremy quite a while, so it's just like we was talking. I think it's just 2018, so we've known each other quite a while.
Same. But yeah, I've gotten a lot of reviews from people commenting to me and saying it was a great show. He was very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah.
And one was glad he didn't give out baking advice. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus on that.
I kept him focused. I kept him on subject, on task. I didn't want to get into baking tips or nothing, so I kept him on task. So
yeah. We ought to do a show. We ought to do a show again with our wives or something like that.
Yeah.
How hard it is to be like the wife of a trophy husband.
Or Thanksgiving. How thankful you have a trophy husband. We'll have to maybe do a Thanksgiving special. Maybe.
I told my wife today. It's it's very difficult for me to be arm candy, but I'm trying to hold it down.
What'd she say to that?
She said, I know, right?
Oh, at least she knows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she knows. But no, tonight's guest, we had some difficulties with. We have him rescheduled. I believe he's prepping for a tournament and didn't realize it when we set the date up. And I didn't really give him a lot of notice either. I didn't send him messages every couple of weeks and saying, hey, your show's coming up. And so that's my fault for not keeping in touch with him that way. But tonight we're supposed to have Eddie Carper on. This will be, I think, his third or fourth time. And he's going to be talking to us tonight about his trip to New York, which was a blast.
I know he's still smiling.
Yeah. And Crush It Gel's on. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Crush It. Hey, appreciate you tuning in last night. And hey, look here. I got the magic right here.
No, you need the red one.
Hey, this bass crack works pretty good. That's the OG. So, I do need to I'm going to get some. But, good stuff, man. Crush It Gel, y'all guys are killing it. Great stuff.
No, I mean, Eddie was up here and he's like, well, let me put some of this on. And I'm like, what is it? Because it looks like a chapstick tube.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about it. Probably about 3 or 4 casts later, he gets the fish. I'm like, huh. I go, does that work? I mean, does that help you with the forward-facing sonar as well? He goes, yes.
Well,
I'm like, okay.
Just don't
worry about the forward-facing sonar at all, but
just don't get it mixed up as chapstick and put it on your lips. That's the only thing I can tell you not to do with it.
I know you know about Smelly Jelly.
Yep.
And they have one that is titled Bass Feast.
Yep.
It's like crust up sewage. I swear. We had a guy in our club accidentally put that on for lip protection.
Oh no!
Oh
no!
Ooh. Yeah.
There's a
when he met his wife at the weigh-in. She's like, dude, no, get away from me.
There's G-Crack or something. One of the baits from Japan's come out, and I've heard if you open the bag, it smells like nacho cheese or something. I can't remember which one it is. I'm like, okay, each his own, I guess.
Yeah, but no. Eddie just sent me a message saying, give him a minute. He's probably just getting home from work.
Oh yeah,
because we got that time zone difference. So.
Oh yeah. But, we did have a little bit of that hurricane come through here last night. We got the kind of remnants of it, and about midnight, it hit pretty hard and heavy.
Yeah. We got some rain today, and I guess possible they had tornadoes sightings in this area. But
yeah, we had some warnings last night, but I don't think we had any, thankfully. But yeah, that's crazy. I seen the most of it head up your way. I'm like, ooh, they're gonna get some rain they need, I guess.
Yeah, we got some rain. I borrowed my father-in-law's pressure washer to wash the paving stones out by the pool. I don't know if I need it anymore.
Oh well.
But yeah, Crusher says really didn't design it for FFS, which most of you guys that are watching probably knows, forward-facing sonar, but it works well.
Yep. Now, I know crappie guys are big on stuff like that, and they'll actually coat their line so they can see the line and the lure going down. So I know crappie guys are really big into that stuff.
Yeah. It's like, for us, it's like a chicken barbecue with the wind blowing.
Yep.
You smell it, and it draws you to it.
Oh, absolutely.
So, what was the one thing that you got out of last night's show? The major thing.
Like the seasonal, how he kind of had a seasonal approach, which I thought was pretty cool. He's talking about the red crankbaits in spring, which we all know red, it's hot in early spring, but about him throwing the flat sides like all year round. I mean, those guys throw the flats like in the spring and the cold, but he throws it all year round.
Okay. Yeah.
But it was a lot of good tips. I mean, he changes his hook out in the off season, which does help because you hit so many rocks. So
yeah, mine don't. But anyways, Alvin, good evening with the American Angler Outdoors Network. Good evening, Al. Great talking to you today. Appreciate everything you do for us and the lady fishermen, and it truly is a big help. Yeah,
I need some time management skills tips from Al, because Al's all over the place, man. He does about 50 things a day, I think, easily. I might get 5 done. He does 50.
Yeah. We'll have a time management skills contest between him and Sherry Hempel Pellerin.
Yep.
Let them go. Crush It Gel says it was a great podcast. Really enjoyed and learned a few things.
Hey, appreciate you tuning in, man. I appreciate you.
The only thing I learned about last night's podcast was I need to set my alarm.
Yeah, you had me worried there. I was like, man, I text you, I message you, and you message back. I was like, oh, maybe something happened. I was like, oh, man. And then Jeremy popped up. And I said, oh, I got this. So,
yeah.
But I like Alvin's tip here. Alvin, you're a management material, bud.
Yeah, I'd like to, Alvin, but I don't see it in my future.
Definitely. There's my boy Barker Reavers. I seen Barker Reavers for a little while. Glad he made it through the storms and everything. Yeah. How's it going there, Joseph B? Good to see you, brother.
Yeah.
And there's Alvin.
Jeremy's a great angler, very knowledgeable. As long as we keep it as long as we keep the fishing and landscape, we're okay with Jeremy. So.
Yep.
But all right, you about ready for Eddie to come on?
Yeah, I think he's all set. I think there's Mark Ruger saying he's still living.
Yeah.
Hey, glad to see you. Glad to see you, brother. Glad you're on there.
Crush It Gel says my Cajun brother.
Absolutely, man. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
I don't know about a myth or a legend. It's kind of hard to work all this stuff out. And,
Oh, yeah.
it's amazing what we put into doing what we do, just to share our passion for the sport of bass fishing. Right? There's
Absolutely.
nothing else. There's nothing else like it out there. Deer
Yeah, I told
hunting,
you.
nothing. So,
Yeah, I told John you was probably still smiling on the way back to your house in Ohio. That you're still probably smiling. I just guessing.
hell, I don't even remember the drive back. It was that good. I mean, we literally dumped the boat in the water. John dumped me in the water, and idled around out there for just a second. John hopped in the boat, and I said, I zoomed out on my graph, and I said, that little round point over there looks pretty good. Let's go try it. And it was about a mile away, or at least a half a mile. We ran over there, and it's like I don't know, fourth or fifth cast. I caught one about two and a half pounds. And I thought, well, there is something here. And in between that time, we'd had a couple of bites that we didn't catch. So we moved around there a little bit more, and we caught, two or three more, and some really good quality.
Cool.
Right there on that. And that's kind of how I like to fish. I like to go blind and figure things out on my own. I just have I won't say that I'm the best in the world at finding fish, but once you get a little experience under your belt, and it doesn't matter where you go in the country, if you're around the same time of the year, you kind of know about what the fish should be hanging out around.
Oh yeah.
Well, one thing I didn't realize is how much dadgum grass is in that lake. Oh my goodness! And that stuff up there, I don't know what it's called. Somebody made a post. Somebody called it witch's hair, and that's awful fitting. I don't know if that's a name for it, but that's what I'm going with. But I catch a 2-pounder in it, and it's like winching him up to the boat. It's kind of crazy, but. Man,
yeah, barking Rugers. Yeah,
that's
barking
probably,
Rugers.
Go ahead.
Saying Ted's in the house.
They calls him Sandbar King. What's up, Sandbar King? And there's a story behind that.
Yeah, that made y'all got Eddie on. How'd you get him to stop beating up the ditch pickles long enough to talk?
Yeah. We
sent him back to Ohio.
Yeah, I'm back down here in the land of little fish now. It really, honestly, it blew my mind. I'd watched the elites up there. I'd watched a couple of 2 or 3 tournaments on Cayuga. And I watched Hackney won, and Kevin Van Dam won one, and Jamie Hartman won one up there. And we're talking about 20-plus pound bags every day.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, nah, are those guys that good, or what's going on? And then I go out there, and I promise you, the first day I was on that lake, and John is my witness, I will guarantee you we had no less than 22 pounds in 5 fish.
And that was in the first 4 hours.
And after I got to thinking about it, I'm thinking it was more like 24 pounds. Because I know I caught 3 fish that were 4 pounds plus. John catches a 583, 84, whatever it was, 570 something, whatever, almost a 6-pounder, and he catches another one that's 4 pounds plus. So I'm looking at this thinking, we got 4 fish that I know will weigh at least 4 1/4. So that's putting us up there, 18 pounds, and then we got a 6-pounder to go with it almost. So, and we didn't weigh nothing but his big fish that he caught, and that was a really nice fish too.
Oh yeah, I was.
By the way. And then you get thinking about it, man. If you crunch the numbers on that, that's more like 24 or 25. But I want to be a little bit conservative with that, because the one thing I had problems with there is the thickness and the body of those fish are not what I'm used to catching, right? They're true northern strain largemouth bass. They're not Florida strain fish. They ain't got no Florida nothing in them. So these fish are short, they're squatty, they're thick, their bellies are thick, and their back is like, oh geez, it's really unreal at how healthy those fish were. And I know they just come off the spawn not too long ago, back late May, June time frame. And to be as healthy as what they are, for no more bait than I've seen, that I actually could physically see with my eye. And I couldn't really see them on the sonar because of all the grass. But it really blew my mind at how, I may have underestimated some of those fish, and I may have overestimated some of those fish because I haven't caught enough of them to really dial it in. What is a 4-pounder on Cayuga Lake? Is that a 19-inch fish? Is it a 21-inch fish? I don't know. But I will say this. We had one heck of a good time, and we caught a bunch of fish. And that first day we was out there, I don't think we caught anything under 2 pounds at all. Everything was pretty much between 3 and 573, whatever that fish weighed, that we actually weighed on my little Rapala scale. Sorry, I ain't got a Bubba scale, but I'll have one next time I come back. But
that doesn't give you much time to get one.
It was freaking, impressive. I tell you, it was so impressive that I would rather go there and spend a weekend fishing as I had to go somewhere like a Lake Fork and go fishing.
Man,
that's how much I liked it. I was really impressed with it. With it.
Tad with Crush It Gel says, barking Rugers, you ain't fishing unless you're running up on the sandbars.
Sound like experience talking there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He says, truth. Yeah. Like I'm press gang back in the vet tournament on Sunday. Going to be a slobber knocker.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to have to get y'all's dictionary because I know the Northern dictionary ain't nothing like that.
Hey, I bet you Tad's got some things that he can say that you ain't never heard.
Oh, yeah.
Most likely.
I've been around those people down there, and let me tell you what, there's one thing about the people in South Louisiana. They either like you or they don't. If they don't like you, they damn sure gonna tell you they don't like you. But if they like you, buddy, you a friend for life. You know what I mean?
And they will feed you like crazy.
Absolutely. Every time I've been down there, it's been something, crawfish boil, a crab boil, something. Every time I've ever been down there, I've had such a good time. And I stayed down there close to where Tad lives for a good while when I was working in the Garyville refinery down there. I stayed in Pierre Park. And y'all know who comes from Pierre Park.
Oh, yeah.
So
Landry's. The Landry's.
Oh, yeah, the Landry's. Cliff Crochet lives there.
Yep.
Hell, he was the sheriff there or something like that, or mayor or something for a little while. But I hung around with the Bourne family a bunch. Hey, it was a good time. I'd go back there tomorrow if they'd let me.
Oh, yeah.
But and they have some pretty dadgum good fishing down there, really.
Oh yeah, they do.
Barking, your boy Barking Ruger says Eddie loves the Northern Fatties as much as he loves his flannel.
Well, listen to that. That's just a work shirt, you know what I mean? So I got off work at 5:30 today. I normally get off at 5, but I had to stay over. We had some equipment coming in that was a little bit damaged, and I had to flip some emails out there and talk to the bosses and see what they wanted to do and all this stuff. So I had to stay over a little bit to work through that, which I don't mind. That's what they pay me to do. And so I got getting home a little late, and I had to go and pick some baits up to send some pictures to John Adams with Star Lures, because we're trying to create something that's going to work on these northern smallmouth up on Erie. So we're kind of working through that and seeing some colors and some various things. And I ain't done with that yet.
Please hold.
but and then I had the podcast I was on previously started at 6 or at 7 rather, and we went through all that good business, and that was a good time.
Cool.
And then I popped on here, but
There you go.
My rate. What do you got there? I can't see it. You're like a thumbnail up here. Oh, there you go. There you go. I see that little critter.
You know what?
You know what I caught on them things last weekend? Yeah, you got a whole bag of them.
Guess what? I had them put up and couldn't remember where I put them.
I thought you just reorganized, man. What happens?
I'm reorganized again.
Okay.
Well, anyways,
he is actually pretty organized. I seen his setup, and I was a little jealous of it. As a matter of fact,
I'm very jealous. Yeah.
I can't keep my stuff looking like that. I'm just too dadgum busy, running around all the time, and one thing, guys, one thing I love to do is go somewhere that I've never been.
Yep.
I love to go. I love the challenge of going somewhere I've never been and figuring out how to catch them. I mean, that's really what, turns my clock, if you will. I like that. I may go some places and absolutely bomb it, like I did down here at the Ohio River. First tournament I went down there, I found the shad spawn way down by the lock in a creek, and I thought, well, I can catch them here. Next morning we have a 2.5 hour fog delay. So by the time I get down there, the fish are gone. I catch a couple, and that pretty much sums up the day. The next time I go down there, and actually just spend a day down there fishing with no tournament or nothing like that. I went down there for the sole purpose of figuring out what them bass were doing down there. So, and it was late in the day, and I figured it out, and I thought, yeah, we got them now. And then I go down there to fish a tournament, and they won't let me fish it because the co-angler backed out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So I kind of got a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth for the BFLs at the moment, if you will, because that kind of bothers me that I spend, $300 worth of fuel to go down there and drag my boat down there and do all this stuff, and then I can't fish because of co-angler. That's just not right.
Yeah.
Parking Ruger says the tackle room struck again. Hell, must be punishment when the wife sends him out there. 14,000 rods and a mountain of tackle, walls of line, struggles real time. Well,
the dude's got some stuff in there. I seen it personally. I'm walking up to the wall looking at it like, I want some of these, and I want some of these. And
to be fair with me, you left with some stuff.
Yes, I did. I left with some good stuff too. It's
awesome.
all out there in the storage in my boat about 5 miles away. But I left with some good Hayabusa hooks and some MGM cull tags, and heck, I don't remember what all. So
sweet.
I got no complaints from my first ever trip to New York. I can't wait to go back, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
when I go back, I want to fish some different locations. The St. Lawrence River, Oneida, maybe one in Champlain. I've always wanted to go and fish those waters up there because we always see them on the Bassmaster Tour and stuff.
Oh yeah,
MLF stuff like that. You always see it. So I really, want to go up there and experience some of that water myself. But
I was thinking, Ed, what we should do is next year, you and Rob come up to Champlain, and we'll fish a tournament. And then the year after that, I'll go to you guys. You pick a lake and we'll go. Year after that, the other person picks a lake.
I'm good with that.
Plan to me.
I like it.
I like it too.
Come on up, Tad.
They bring Tad up there too. There we go.
You know, Tad's gonna have to bring some crawfish if he comes. So I love me some crawfish.
Oh yeah.
The most disappointing, I think the most disappointing thing about his whole trip, well, the second most, was Thursday night. We decided to go get some Chinese buffet.
Yep.
You know, been on the water for a while. We're both a little hungry. I text the wife. We come home. We all get into my car, go drive, I don't know, 45 minutes to a decent Chinese buffet. And they're closed.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So then we had to go to Chili's and eat there.
Yeah, it was a little heartbreaking. I love me some Chinese food. I ain't saying Chili's is bad. I ain't gonna say that because it was good too, you know. But yeah, I kind of had my heart set on some noodles and some some various chop suey, whatever you want to call it. You know, they got all kind of stuff. So it's yeah,
Hey.
Chinese is always one of my favorites.
Yeah, Ruger said, not me, we're up to meet in the middle. And I said, Ruger, Kentucky's in the middle.
Hey, Kentucky Lake. I know a little bit about Kentucky Lake.
Yeah, Dale Hollow. I mean, there's some good ones.
Yeah. I can catch fish about anywhere I go.
Yeah. To be fair though, would you rather fish Kentucky Lake or Champlain?
Champlain.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
No brainer at all. I'll say this: Kentucky Lake, them smallmouth are coming on down there. You know.
Oh yeah.
And you know they're winning tournaments with smallmouths there with daggum 20-pound bags. So
it's coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, they get rid of them dadgum carp.
They got commercial fishermen starting to fish them out now, so I think that's putting a dent in them for sure. It's working.
It's definitely helping. I think a lot of the problem there, guys, was heavy tournament pressure.
Yeah,
Bass coming there, MLF coming there, the Toyota series, you know, you name it, were coming there, and they just, you know, I hate to say it, but there is some negative effects from having so many tournaments on the body
absolutely.
of water. It doesn't matter how big the body of water is. It's after a week of fishing, 7 days straight of fishing, it's going to take its toll.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have multiple ones coming, it's gonna affect the fish and the population and you know, it's not good. I think they need to spread that thing out. I think the tournament organizations need to broaden their scope a little bit. I think they need to go back to some of the rivers, some of our big rivers, you know, lower Mississippi River, for one. It's pretty dang awesome fishing. It's got some big old bass in it now. You know, I'm talking about from Memphis, Tennessee south. You know, even north of there's good. But Arkansas River from Little Rock, well, not even that, all the way up into Oklahoma, you know, up into my neck of the woods, you know, Muskogee, all the way down to the mouth of the Arkansas River where it dumps into Mississippi. You know, there's really good fishing all the way through there, but nobody goes there anymore. Nobody. There's a gazillion lakes in the United States that tournament organizations can fish. They don't have to fish the same lakes every year. They can rotate and do a better job on their scheduling. What throws a monkey wrench is in that is the tournament organizations depend on the local area chamber of commerce for money.
Yeah.
You know, the chamber of commerce pays them $10,000, $50,000, whatever the heck it might be. You know, it may even be, you know, up there. You know, I ain't even gonna lie. It can be as much as $250,000 to get one of these big tournaments to come into their area. because they know that if you bring 200 anglers in there, they're going to spend $400 or $500 a day on fuel
Absolutely.
and food and hotels and just the gamut. A lot of them going to bring their families, and that's going to add to it. And anyway, it's really a big deal with the tournament organizations, and that's why they continue to go to places like La Crosse, Hartwell, Greenville's paying them. It's just it's just a money deal, and you can't blame the tournament organizations for that. Everybody's got to make money. I just wish they'd give a little bit more of it back to us anglers.
Oh yeah, because that boosts economy. Like you said, the gas, hotels, then plus the fans. It's crazy.
Yep. So they pay $100,000 to get BAS to come in there, or even $250,000 pay them to come in there. They got 100 anglers on their roster, right? 103 or something like that. Those guys are going to spend $500-$600 a day, and you got all the staff coming and fans and family members and stuff like that. So the town is going to see a revenue increase of, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 million.
Oh yeah.
So you kind of understand it when you look at it at that level. A lot of people don't know that goes on, but it does.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nobody advertises it, but it happens.
Yeah, let's get back to a comment here. Barking Ruger said something about a tracker boat. I don't even own a boat. So whatever boat you bring up, I'm in. And American Angler Outdoors, they need to rotate waters. That's true. I think, honestly, he also got some a fizz kit.
Yeah, I did.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
It's somewhere in the boat. It's somewhere in my boat because everything's kind of piled in there now. I run back here and pretty much backed it into storage, and that's where it's been. I've been out there twice. Once to do a Facebook Live, and then a while ago when I went out there to grab a couple baits out of it to send John some pictures. But that's the only time I've been out there. I hadn't fooled around in the boat. It just ain't been time. But it did take me about 8 hours to get home the other day. I got in a traffic jam up there just about the Pennsylvania, Ohio borderline, somewhere right in there. That took me a couple hours to get through. The holiday weekend, you gotta expect it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my nav system on, so it didn't tell me about it, and I couldn't route around it. I just ran up to it, and there it is. You kind of stuck at that point. You can't turn around. You can't go through the ditch. You got a boat back. It is what it is. But it was just a slow crawl there for about 10 miles. Very slow. Stop and go. The kind of stuff you just hate. But
yeah,
it is
hey,
what it is.
At least you didn't have a manual transmission.
Or on a motorcycle. I've been on a motorcycle and get caught in that.
I got caught in a traffic jam in Atlanta, Georgia one night. And I was back then I had a 2004 Dodge Ram truck, kind of like I got now, diesel, but it had a 6-speed manual. And it was stop and go for a little while, and then it was stopped for the rest of the night. I spent 6 hours.
Jeez.
Overnight in that thing. I think it was on 81 or one of them loops around Atlanta. I can't remember which one it was. But, I spent the night on the interstate. The whole night. Just about 6 or 8 hours, I think. So
Jeez.
Now back to New York. What did you think of Lake Ontario?
My honest opinion of Lake Ontario is I think that we were there on somewhat of a bad day for bass fishing because the water was so flat. Those fish are used to the wind and they're used to positioning in the wind and feeding into the wind, which the wind, generates current. So the fish are going to face into that. The fish that we wound up catching, yeah, they were somewhat faced into the current, but the fish were up off the bottom. They weren't on the bottom like they would have been if there would have been a heavy wind with some current. The fish were up. And when I say up, they were suspended about 5 to 8 feet off the bottom. So the ones we caught were having to follow our bait down, our drop shot down. So I think it would have been a much better day had we had, something like a 10-mile-an-hour wind or something like that, just to generate a little wave action, a little more oxygen, get the water moving and churning a little bit. I think it would have been a much, much better day. I think it would have also been a better day if we'd have went on up maybe into the river where that current necked down, and they had some current, but neither of us had Canadian license, and that border's kind of sketchy up through there. So we elected not to go up in there, but the lake itself is beautiful. I mean, really, really pretty, really, really clear water. I mean, when you set the hook on smallmouth, you can see them down there 15 foot and think you got a 4-pounder on it, and you finally get him up to the top 2 minutes later, and it's a 2-pounder, It is what it is. I mean, those fish, dadgum, and I didn't catch but 7 or 8, and but those things will wear you out. I mean, just a 2.5-pounder, it would just wear you slap out because it took so long to get them up. You can't pull on them very hard with light line. You got a 20-pound main line of braid and maybe an 8 or 10-pound leader on there, but you can't really muscle on them because of the dang zebra mussels in the water. So you kind of got to be, careful. Set your drag real light, and fortunately, that way that worked out. But I was very impressed with it, and I would love to go back and fish it again.
Oh, we will. Yeah, you launch. For those of you who've not been there, you launch and all you see is water.
Yep. You launched in Oswego, and we were. I measured it on the map. The place we stopped fishing at was 42 miles from the ramp. When I measured it on my Lowrance app on my phone, 42 miles over there and 42 miles back. So, yeah, and what amazes me is I was able to run 65 miles an hour across that thing for a good long way. But what you don't realize, for anybody watching here that's never been to the Great Lakes, is you can see an island over there, and it looks like it's 2 or 3 miles away. Well, you crank your boat up and you start running, and you keep running, and you run some more, and you run some more. Eventually you get there and you realize, hey, that island was 15 miles away. So if you're going there to fish a tournament or something like that, it's very important to find 4 or 5 places that are really close together, so you don't have that run time in between those places, because you can really burn up some time going from place to place. I mean, it's and that's as real as I can get. It's no different than Lake Erie or Huron or anywhere else I've been. Just because you can see it over there in the distance and it looks like it's, a mile or 2, that might be 10 or 15 miles over there to it. So, yeah, but my old Mercury did pretty good. We burned a half a tank of fuel, a little less actually. Making it run over there and running back, and a little bit of stuff we did in between. I burned about, I'm going to guesstimate because I ain't filled the boat up yet, but I'm going to guesstimate we burned 21 gallons.
And for the 3 days of fishing, you didn't even go through a full tank of gas.
No, I didn't. I probably burned maybe 5 gallons a day that we went, and I didn't have a full tank then. I just had about a half tank, and I went and filled it up that night, and I put 28. I probably got a receipt laying around here somewhere around 18 to 20 gallons in it, and I had been fishing a couple of times previously. Then the next day I went, I burned a little more because I ran around there a little bit, so I might have burned 7 or 8 gallons. And then when we got to Oswego, I said, let's go down here and fill this thing up. So, you know, I know I got enough fuel to go wherever I need to go and get back. So I put some like 12 gallons in it there. And then we ran all the way across Lake Ontario up to the mouth of the St. Lawrence and then all the way back to Oswego, which was, like I said, was 42 miles. And I think I burned 21 gallons, somewhere in that neighborhood, give or take a little bit. So the Mercury 4-stroke does pretty fair. And some of that's because of the prop that I put on it before I came up there. I put a 25 and a half pitch 4-blade Bravo on there so I could lift at lower RPMs and, you know, still kind of maintain a pretty fair speed. And I had good mid-range torque and all that. But the main thing was so I could stay on plane at lower speed. Because if you get in them 3 or 4 footers up there, you can't run them things even close to wide open. I don't care what boat you got. It don't matter. When them things get rolling up there on them Great Lakes, you can't run them. You have to run either the saddle or the ridge. You know, that's your two options. And the saddle's better. And at best, you're going to do 35 or 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And with the 3-blade prop, it's hard to manage that. But with the 4-blade, you know, it just don't take as much. It don't burn as much fuel to keep the same bite on the water, if you will. And you don't have any torque on the wheel, so it's more comfortable.
Yeah, your next trip up, we'll launch out of either Chameau or go a little further north.
Yeah,
and, that way you can get into those big smallies.
Yeah. Now it'll be a little while before I can come back up there because I've only got on normal week. I've only got 2 days off, Saturday and Sunday, which you know I'd be willing to do that, but it'd be pretty rough because I'd have 12 hours of driving. Well, going all the way up there, I'd probably have more like 14 hours of drive time in that, but you know, I ain't scared.
I ain't no doubt about that.
I ain't scared.
Right.
I tell you what, a man will do what a man's got to do to go catch some fish.
Yep. Ted says his longest run was over 200 miles round trip from Bayou Black to Venice.
That's a haul.
That's a pretty good haul. That's a gas stop in between there for sure. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I went from Waddington to Chameau Bay once. And for those of you who don't know, I don't know how many miles it is, but it's a long ass one.
That's a 2-hour boat ride one way.
Yeah.
By the map. I've already looked at it, and I do a lot more research than I ever let on that I do. I look at Google Earth. I look at Navionics. I still have that on my phone, so I look at Navionics. I look at Lowrance Sea Maps on my phone a lot, and I measure out the distance it is. So I pretty much know what the heck I'm looking for when I get to somewhere. I ain't gonna sit here and lie and say I didn't look at Google Earth and some things on Cayuga before I came. You know, that's just what I do. I'm used to doing it because I fished the big tournaments a lot of times and I don't have any practice time. So I've got to figure out. I'll go as far as saying this. I probably do in the neighborhood of 50% of my fishing right here from my recliner at home on my computer.
Yeah.
You know, looking at researching tournament weights, looking at all kinds of lake data, the lake levels. I look at the contour maps, and I pretty much have a plan developed before I ever even get somewhere as to where I wanted to start. And yeah, I looked at that little point that we went and fished the first day I was on Cayuga, right here sitting in my recliner at the house on my phone, I thought, that's a high percentage spot. So that's what I'm going to look for when I do my online research on Google Earth, on C Maps, or whatever the case it is that I'm using. I'm looking for those high percentage spots that have worked for me over the past, and that's where experience comes into the picture. Is once you develop a lot of experience, you kind of know about where a fish should be at a certain time of the year at a certain water temperature. But I would have never believed the water was as cool as what it was up there. But it was, what was it, 77?
Yep.
So that's, back where I'm from right now, the water's in the 90s. So fishing's totally different, but the fish are in the same general kind of a zone. Once they go post spawn, you're looking at humps and points and creek channel bends and things like that. It's kind of a backwards scenario to looking at pre-spawn fish. So once you get in that spawn time frame, the spawn in the fall, you're pretty much looking at flats.
Yep.
Particularly in the fall.
We'll cover that. We'll cover that in a little bit. Different day, I should say. But as far as your trip, was it worth it?
100%.
Okay, because you drove what, 8 hours here, 8 hours back, 16-hour trip, 3 days.
455 miles one way, so right at 6 hours, I think, what it took me to get there, and it took me more like 8 to get back, but that was just because of the traffic, But it was it was a trip that's well worth it. Cayuga has been on my bucket list for quite a while. I wanted to come up there and check it out, and I did, and I seen what it was made of, and if Oneida or St. Clair, or not St. Clair, but what's that other one up there?
St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence.
Champlain.
Champlain. If they're any better than Cayuga, dude, that will just blow my mind. Actually, really will, because I never really realized y'all had that kind of fishing up there in New York, and it makes me wonder why they don't have that kind of fishing around here, Ohio, Indiana. It just doesn't compute in my little brain as to why that they can't manage their fisheries here to be something like that up there. Is it something that New York does differently, or what it is, water quality? I don't know.
It's because I said I wouldn't live here unless they fix the fishing area.
Like, one thing I don't understand about here is the Ohio River is one of the biggest fisheries in Ohio, right? So I don't understand why the fishing is so poor in the Ohio River for the food base that it has and the cover that it has near that food base. It just does not make any sense. I mean, when you go down the river and you see balls of shad just swimming everywhere, or up one of them creeks, you can dang near walk across the shad, but yet you catch little old 12, 14-inch fish. That's all you catch. A 3-pounder is a freaking giant, If you catch 2 3-pounders, well, you don't want it. But so I don't understand why the Ohio River fishes as poorly as what it does, but it fishes poorly all the way down to where it connects into the Mississippi River. So it's not really just an Ohio thing. So that tells me that it's got to be a water quality issue or something there that, I'm not a biologist, but it's something there that has got to be affecting that fishery.
Right.
They do have one fishery here it's an hour and a half from here, 2 hours up 71, kind of up towards where you live there. That's Mosquito Lake that's supposed to be pretty good, and it did have grass in it, but I hear they're going to kill it all, and that's a huge mistake. But I hear that's what they're going to do there.
I agree with Brock. The Texas Share Lunker program, every place needs something like that. I think with New York, to be honest with you, I think a lot of it is the zebra mussels.
Mm-hmm.
Because the zebra mussels clear up the water, which lets the sun penetrate the water better, and also helps the vegetation.
Yep,
it does.
So with the healthy vegetation and the fish being able to see better, and they can hunt fish better, they can hunt bait better.
Yep.
I mean, we did get into some spots with some dead vegetation.
Yep.
But for the most part, I mean, like you said on St. Lawrence, 15 feet down, you can see the bottom.
Yep. And there was on Cayuga, there was grass growing in 14 feet of water.
Yep.
Wow.
Grass growing that deep. It don't even grow that deep on, well, I'm not going to say it don't, but I've never seen it grow that deep on places like Rayburn. About 7 or 8 foot, 10 foot's about where it cuts off. But they have it's a different grass there, obviously.
Yeah. And
it'll grow out to a solid line and just kind of stop. Where on Cayuga it was kind of I can't hardly make a sign on this little screen, but it kind of make a little points everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where you want to focus on, because that sticks out there. But where we actually caught our fish at, when I first got there, where we actually caught our fish at was in about 8 to 10 feet of water where the grass was fairly thin. It was only sticking up about 2 foot off the bottom, and occasionally there would be a patch sticking up 3 to 4 foot. And that's where we caught most of the fish, at least when I first got there. So I went out there and fished some of that 12 and 14 foot witch's hair stuff, whatever you called it. And I did get some bites, but they weren't, except for the one that jerked the rod out of my hand. I don't know what that was. It had to have been a big pike or something.
I think it was a bluegill.
Freaking, 1 ounce weight, and that fish bit it. And, I was sitting there shaking it and thump, and I reeled down and whoop, my rod went in the lake. That's happened to me 3 times in my whole life that I can remember. And each time it was a great big old fish. And I know it wasn't a catfish, because I'd have caught a catfish. You always catch the catfish if it don't break your line. And I've caught some giants. But the catfish's mouth is so soft, the skin in their mouth, you're going to hook them. And they never get off. You want them to, but they never get off. But anyway, that's why I think, well, it was something that had a hard mouth, so I'm thinking it was a big pike.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. It could have been a big bass too, because I've had bass do that before. But
Andrew Pulliam says, "Hey guys, Eddie, I didn't see yesterday."
You didn't see
yesterday?
Did not see you yesterday.
Didn't see me. Well, I don't know where he lives, but I'm in Johnstown, Ohio. Have been since Sunday evening.
But no, Ed, I wanted to have you on and just to let you know I appreciate you, coming over. I hope everything was good for you. The accommodations were okay. The cookies were okay.
Hey, the cookies was 150%, man.
I thought we were gonna have a throwdown at the restaurant, though.
Hey,
Eddie wanted to pay. My wife wanted to pay. I stayed out of it.
You was good either way. You was good.
Well, I'll tell you
I did
what,
that like I did the baking. I stayed right out of it.
You guys treated me and you put me up for 2 or 3 days, and I come up to New York and enjoyed some really, really fine fishing. And I really wanted to pay for that meal, and your wife was just kept insisting. I said, okay, I don't want to make nobody mad, So I just kind of, you can't win an argument with a woman, so don't even try. So that's kind of where I was, because she kind of like my wife, and you don't, you just ain't gonna win an argument. So they've always got one over on you somewhere. I succeeded. She paid for the bill, and I believe that'll come back twice fold for her at some point in the future for sure. I believe in karma. I think that'll bring good deeds, and I certainly hope it does. And I sure enough appreciate it. It certainly wasn't required, but I certainly do appreciate it. And you guys showed me a great time, awesome hospitality. I can't complain about anything. I mean, if I did, I'd be crazy. Freaking fed me, you gave me cookies, you gave me hooks and daggone a Cohen system and freaking a fizzing system. Yeah, I'd be nuts to say something.
They caught a bunch of big ones.
Yes, I did. I'm gonna tell you what. I have been, and this is truthfully honest with you. I spent 3 days out there in the good sunshine fishing, and I don't know if that's what did it, or
And my face is proof.
or was it going and actually catching those fish? But I have been so invigorated this week from having such a good time. I don't know if it's the vitamin D from the sun or what it was, but I have been on top of the world ever since I came back. So it was one of the best experiences I've had in a very, very, very long time. And I can't wait to come back and do it again. I just can't.
Yeah.
I
Eddie was talking about when he said he didn't see you yesterday. He was talking about on the podcast.
Oh,
We're live, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my live?
Yep.
Oh, I did that day 4 yesterday. I was on there for like an hour and 18 minutes rambling on. I can't never shut up. I just keep talking. People will say something and get me plumb off on a whole nother subject, and I'll divert and go over there for a minute. And eventually I'll work my way back to where I was and do that. And it just, I love to do it. I'm just now getting, it kind of sounds dumb a little bit, but I'm just now getting my momentum back in my life from being laid off at work and not being able to find a job for 5 months and going broke, absolutely straight up broke, to where I had to borrow money from people just to pay my bill. I had to borrow money from my dad just to make it up here to the job I'm on now. And I'm going to tell you what, there's nothing in my entire life that's made me feel so small as having to ask my dad to loan me some money so I could get up here and get back to work. That's just how I was raised. We don't ask people for money. We don't ask people for handouts. You just don't do that. But I have learned that sometimes it's necessary to do that. Sometimes when life goes bad, you kind of got to do that. And thank God I have my dad to lean on, because I'd have probably lost everything I had.
Yeah. It's not a handout, it's a hand up. That's what I always say.
That's exactly what it is. Now I've offered to pay him back 2 or 3 times since, and he won't have it. So he's happy to see me up doing good. I've got a pretty good stable job now. I hope for the next 8 to 10 years that I'll be here in Ohio. So I'm really hoping it goes good for that long. If it does, maybe I can skate out and retire and just fish. But that is very important to you. So, for a grown man not to be able to work and support his family is an awful feeling.
Yep.
And it's an awful feeling that I don't never want to feel again. And
Been there, buddy.
Yep. We all been there.
I don't know the reason why the company did that, because I work for the same company now, different division, but I work for the same company now as I did then. I don't know why they did that. It was something about a budgeting error or something or another is what they said. I think that was an excuse, but it is what it is. They've been good to me up until that point, and then honestly, I think my fishing the Major League Invitationals last year had a lot to do with that. Even though I didn't practice for any of them, I just went blind. Just basically drove all night, put the boat in the water, went fishing, and got out of the water, went to a hotel and got some sleep, and then went back and did it for another day or two, and then drove back to Tennessee and went right straight back to work. So that was a rough deal. So I'm hoping this thing up here is going to work out. It sounds like it is. But I'm probably not going to look at the invitationals anymore. As much as that email impressed me that they sent out asking the questions a couple of weeks ago.
We had a discussion about that.
Which was important.
Oh, yeah.
But I just can't work out. Their schedule is too wonky for me. They have events back to back, 2 in 1 month, whatever. I just can't work that out. So I'm almost 100% going to go back to the NPFL if I can.
Yeah, and Barking Mover said, that's what we love about you, Eddie. Your conversations are as straight as the patterns on your work shirt. We love you, buddy. You're true, buddy.
Well, thanks for that. Look, I'm just redneck, so.
No, I'm a redneck.
Yeah, 'cause you're sunburned.
Yeah.
But no,
me, I don't turn brown. So
I'm on a serious note. We enjoyed having you here. You came in, you showed our family love, respect, and everything, and my daughter was impressed. The one thing that I told her you were gone because you said Sunday morning you were getting ready to head out and everything, and I thought you'd pulled out of the driveway already, and she was about to have a meltdown. She's like, "Where's Eddie?" I said, "Well, he left." And then I looked out the kitchen window, and I called Zandra. He's still here. And she ran, got her shoes on real quick, and ran out and wanted to make sure she said bye.
Oh, hey!
I tell you what, that's one sweet little girl there. And when I heard her name, I thought immediately, because my grandson's name is Xander.
Yep.
So the names are very, very close there. And I was like, man, Oklahoma all the way up here in New York, and sure, her name is Zandra and his name is Xander. So, that's something. I won't go no further than that, but but it's awful. I don't know what the heck I was about to say, but it's very, very interesting that her name was Zandra and his name is Xander.
Yep.
That just that just almost made me just really kind of feel at home, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was something very familiar. And your daughter is just a sweet little thing. I'll tell you what, she didn't talk much. She's really quiet, but I think given another day or two, she'd really come around and would have started talking and doing all that. And one thing that impresses me, John, about what y'all did there, and I noticed things, right? I noticed her bedtime was like 8 p.m. That was it. She was going to bed, and that impresses me because I know that they're out of school right now, but you're keeping that regiment right through the summertime. That way there's no problem when I'm assuming there's no problem when it gets back to school time. So I think that's something that we don't do as good with our children today as what we used to do. Because when I came up, I had a bedtime and I better be in bed or it was trouble. And, that really impressed me that you were instilling those values in that young lady this early in her life. And she'll keep those values throughout life now because she doesn't know any other way. So that's just the way to do it, I believe.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. And, we got Sergeant Major Stoutinger upstairs in the might even be baking right now, but no, she keeps us all in task, and no, we appreciate it. I know you notice the little things most fishermen do.
Yeah.
And one of the things that while we were out at dinner, even the waitress noticed was we made Xander use her manners.
Yeah.
So
yeah. People don't realize how important, excuse me, how important good manners are. Because I won't say most, but a lot of kids nowadays just don't have any.
Yeah.
They just don't have any manners. They'll sit down there and holler and scream and do whatever and throw a fit, and it just they don't have any manners. Now, if I was 6 or 7 years old and I did that, Mom was fixing to jerk me out of the chair and we was finna go outside, and it wasn't gonna be no discussion. It was gonna be a whipping, and a good one too. I knew how to act when we were out in the public, and that's another thing that I appreciated is that there was none of that. I mean, she is as good of a girl as I believe I have probably ever seen at that age.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, and that means a lot. I don't usually do this, but I want to plug one of my partners, because when we were at Lake Ontario, we didn't get big fish.
Mm-hmm.
But when we did get fish outside and gobies too, we pretty much had to use pliers to get the hooks out of the mouth.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you see that in one of the videos.
I don't know. I'm not good at this yet, but
well, they're little tiny hooks, but them things are pretty awesome. They impress the heck out of me.
He's like, I got my first fish, and he was like, I'm like, do you get any pliers? Because and people say, how do you not lose a fish? Well, I lost a bunch of stuff this time, but it wasn't because of the hook. It was all because of the knot I was tying.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about that. Once I switched over to my old setup, I didn't lose a fish.
You didn't have no more problems.
Nope.
So I don't fit into all this fancy knot stuff, tying fluorocarbon or braid with the FG knot and all that. I just tie a double uni knot, tie it together. It takes me a few seconds, not 10 or 15 minutes to tie it. And I have never had a problem with that. And I'll tell you what, I have actually, when, the lake by my house, Broken Bow Lake, is pretty clear. The water's pretty clear. I mean, you can see 5-6 foot in it a lot of times, and sometimes you can see 10, 12 foot. Back years ago, you could read a beer can in 20 foot of water, but nah, we're probably not going to see those days again. But what I would do there when I come off of a place that I was in a bunch of grass, like Seminole or something like that, and I would come home and there'd be like a little club tournament there. I won't say little; they're pretty good size, a club tournament type deal. And rather than change all my line out, I would just jump in there, snip my braid, cut the bait off, and I would do a double uni knot to the braid with like 20-pound fluorocarbon or 15-pound fluorocarbon or whatever.
Yep.
And then I would go out there and do my normal thing. One of the biggest sacks I've ever weighed on Broken Bow Lake weighed 24 pounds or something. I caught them throwing 30-pound braid with 10-pound fluorocarbon leader.
Yeah.
And I was catching them on a jig, throwing a jig, letting it get down. The only problem I had was getting it down to the fish. The fish were about 10, 12 foot deep, down to about 20 feet deep. And those really deep ones, I had a real hard time getting the bait to them because the braid would float, right?
Yep.
So it slowed the bait down. I was throwing a 5/16 ounce jig at the time, I believe, Eakin jig or something, but that's how I was catching them.
Yeah.
So I do that regular. It saves me money. I don't have to change all my line out and stuff to do that. So I do that quite regularly.
I'm kind of proud of Joe and Barking Rivers, but I'm more impressed with Melissa so he doesn't pee in the yard anymore.
Hey, something you said a minute ago. You said your wife was baking.
Possibly.
Baking? Possibly.
Probably.
Well, my address is 95 West Bacon here in Johnstown, Ohio, and yeah, I could use some of them chocolate chip cookies. Man, them things was awesome. Probably some of the best I ever had.
You know what she did Sunday?
No telling. Probably cooked the whole tray of them.
Nah, she made banana bread.
Banana bread.
Yeah.
It's been a minute since I had banana bread, but I like it.
with chocolate chips in it.
Oh, come on.
Ooh.
You're killing me. You're making me gain weight just sitting here talking. But I do love me some chocolate chip cookies now. That's one of my, between that and oatmeal raisin cookies, that's my two right there. I don't really like anything else.
Dad says, I came in this evening and saw a shock collar on the table. We don't even own a dog.
Tad, you in trouble, brother. You in trouble.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's probably not good.
But anyways, Eddie, thank you for coming on and taking us out of a pinch because, I appreciate everything. I appreciate your company over the weekend.
Yeah, and, it was an awesome trip. It was an awesome trip. One thing before I go, I want to talk about real quick is that, Crush It Jail. They sent me some early this spring, and then things were happening, and I was trying to get up here to this job, and wasn't really able to really try it out a whole lot until the last couple of 3 or 4 weeks. But what really sold me on it is when I came up there to fish with you. I was pretty religious. You remember I had it in my pocket.
Yep. And
I take it out and I put it on that jig, and the amount of bites I were getting was pretty phenomenal. And I was putting it on the chatterbait, and I was also putting it on my jig. Now, both of those baits produced very, very well, and I believe it was because I was putting that on there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't miss but 1 or 2 fish. And I think those 1 or 2 fish might have been in rock perch or whatever they was. They couldn't get it in their mouth. But I have been absolutely impressed with it. And one of the things that impresses me so much with it is how long it stays on your bait.
Yep.
I mean, once you put it on there, it stays on there for a long time. I'm talking about 30, 40 casts later, you grab your bait and you still feel it on there. That's pretty dang impressive. So the whole weekend up there, I didn't use a quarter or 2. And I had it when we were out there drop shotting on Lake Ontario. I had it on my baits there too. I was putting it on it there, and it worked just the same as it did at Cayuga. So I'm pretty well sold on it. You know what I mean? I think it's it's worth the money to buy it, and put it on your baits. And here's why. You may have, say you're out there fishing a tournament, you need 5 bites. If any of those fish are following your bait that don't commit to it because they can't smell anything, because bass have nostrils. If you look at them, they have nostrils. And we don't, in particularly smallmouth. Yep. Smallmouth they're notorious for it. So instead of that fish following that bait along and tracking it, he's actually going to be convinced that it's a crawfish or it's a alewife or minnow or something edible, and he's going to come up there and eat that bait, whereas he might not if you didn't have scent on there. So the whole thing with the scent is, it's not that it's going to catch every fish in the lake, but it's going to get you that extra 1 or 2 or 3 bites in a day that you would not have gotten without it. And that's the difference in winning and losing.
Absolutely.
So I'm totally convinced that stuff is, like I said, it's the best that I have ever used today. I 100% believe that. 100%.
Now I was using smelly jelly, and he was, I mean, that's the stuff I've always used. I even put it on power bait, and he was catching more fish than me. So he got me sold on that.
Yeah. So you see the difference right there is what difference it made. And it wasn't that, the water we were fishing, it wasn't like that I had the front of the boat up here and I was catching them out from in front of you. It wasn't that way. We were just fan casting kind of all directions, all over the place. And it made a huge difference.
Yes,
absolutely. It's the OG right there.
I see it. That's an old bass
Yep,
right there.
I got it, man.
All right, let's.
It's good stuff, and a little bit of sparkle. That's a plus too.
All right.
What did you say? Barking Rugers.
Yeah.
Like a fat girl with a golden corral.
Fat girl. Yep, it does.
All right. Well, with that note, Crush It Gel says there's more Crush It Gel than just more to Crush It Gel than just amino acids in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll give you a call. Actually, how about you give me a call when you get a chance tomorrow, Tad, and we'll talk and see what we can do about getting you into some episodes and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Ed, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Anytime.
And I want to talk to you about some stuff that possibly work out in the future. So.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
All right.
All right. Well, you take care. Be safe, and looking forward to seeing you again.
Hopefully it's sooner than later.
There you go, man.
I agree. All right.
All right. See you, buddy. Have a good one. All right, buddy.
Ooh.
Oh, Eddie, man. He brings the table, man. He brings the energy. Love Eddie.
Yeah, he's a great man, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Top notch.
I got to witness it firsthand, and so it was his boat. He has a Phoenix, and
yeah, nice one.
There aren't, and the fish were post-spawn. I didn't tell him that. Of course, I knew a lot more than I did going into it, but he found the fish on, so.
I think he's still smiling from that trip, man. I can just tell he's still smiling.
I think he's a little upset because I like, look, you can stay as long as you want. And I think he was upset he had to go home.
Oh yeah, no doubt. He'd like to stay there another week or two, but yeah, we know how bills go. They don't slow or don't go away.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. Even you, Barking Rugers, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Ruger, and thanks, Tad. Hope you guys doing well. Glad the hurricane missed you guys, and Hope you get a little cooler weather maybe below your waist as that storm blew through. But anyway, you guys be safe. Take care down there.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew, for tuning in as well. So.
No, absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Have a good night, and hope to see you next week.
Or see you. Peace out.